Good evening. The regular meeting of the Independent School District 279 School Board is called to order at 6 p.m. on March 18th, 2025. This regular business meeting of the Osseo School Board is being conducted in the boardroom of the Educational Service Center. The meeting can be monitored electronically by streaming online from the district website. An archived recording of tonight's meeting will also be available on the district website. Seated in front of you this evening, from my left and your right, are Director Kelsey Dawson, Director Erica Foster, Director Thomas Brooks, myself, Tanya Prince, Director Keith Tate, Director Sarah Mitchell. Also present in the boardroom is Superintendent Dr. Kim Heil and members of the Superintendent's Cabinet, as well as our student school board representatives, Antoinette Brown for Osseo Senior, Gavin Chabika for Maple Grove Senior, Naomi Cooper Greer for Park Center Senior. Those of you who can, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Director Tate, will you please lead the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Board members, are there any additions to the agenda? Is there a motion to accept the agenda as presented?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
So moved by Director Mitchell, seconded by Director Thomas. Director Brooks. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 6-0. Our next standing agenda item is recognitions. We have no recognitions this evening, but we will have several next month. The next agenda item is school board representatives' reports. Antoinette, will you please share your report?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Antoinette Brown, and I'm representing Osseo Senior High. At Osseo Senior High, we continue to show up for ourselves and for one another in excellence. We continue to thrive and be our best selves on a day-to-day basis. Here are some of our excellence throughout the month. Avid scholars lead through a tutorial process where they utilize avid skills through the tutorial process that utilizes higher learning, higher thinking skills, and a deeper understanding of topics. Scholars walk through the steps of a tutorial process. On February 24th, our Black Student Union presented the 8th annual Osseo Speaks, a Black History Month showcase. This event included poems, spoken words, drum performances, singing, scholar-written skits, and a fan-favorite traditional fashion show. It's always important that we focus on celebrating Black history, and for this theme, we circled around Black love, Black joy, and Black excellence. The Osseo Chamber Choir performed the Minnesota State Educators Winter Conference on Friday, February 14th, where they were excitedly performing a story that also included a world premiere poem written by a Minnesota composer. They had music from Korea, France, and Haiti. The Osseo Senior Varsity Chess Choir also ran first place under a 1,000 rating division in the Minnesota State High School Chess League on February 28th. This competition was super epic and super fierce. Osseo Senior High National Honor Society hosted our 3rd annual blood drive where tons of scholars and staff volunteered to donate blood. We've also had a new store open up, which was our Osseo Thrift Store. Our school started a new thrift store where Osseo students can pay whatever they want for an item to own. Our Model UN took a huge win last conference to end off the year. Our Business Professional of America had over 30 members, both group and individual events, make it to state. Some highlights from some sports is Nordic skiing. Rylan Rehnquist and Quinlan Rehnquist both qualified for Minnesota State Nordic skiing event, and Unified Basketball took a Division A trophy, which they took 3rd place in their trophy. Gymnastics, Ella Heglin took 2nd in the state on the beam. She also finished 9th place on the floor exercise. Carter Williams, Vivian A. all qualified for Minnesota State Wrestling Tournament, and Vivian S. placed second in her weight competition. Girls basketball went to the semifinals for the first time in 9 years, which was a huge milestone for them. These are all the excellence throughout Osseo Senior High.
Thank you. Naomi, will you please share your report?
Okay, we're good. Okay, hello, my name is Naomi Cooper-Greer, and I'm so glad to be back in this seat to share our monthly story. But enough about me and more about PC. Our PC students have been focusing hard and pushing through that finish line that we call trimester 2. It was a rough journey, but we all made it, and now it's basically summer. Just kidding. The start of this trimester has brought new beginnings and newer activities. The upcoming developing sports that have been introduced to the public at Park Center have been girls badminton and boys golf. These two sports have been making tremendous stride within their respective fields, not only with so much time to spare, but they have so many fresh batches of kids who are ready to play and show out. Other sports have been starting up their seasons and practices with big bangs and massive amounts of members who want to join and attend the first meetings. And I would like to backtrack to put a little special spotlight on our wrestling 2 members who went to state and our 3 esports member who also went to state too. And I hope that they know, even though they didn't bring home the gold, we're all extremely proud of them. I would like to rewind it back to our musical department. Just a few weeks ago, our musical, The Music Man, has closed up for their final night. Many audience members were left with memorable moments and when they walked out that theater. Moving on, our jazz band has been traveling to our next door neighbor, Maple Grove, for their Jazz Fest. As the clinician said, just go for it, because if you don't, who else will? Those words inspired the band as they hit notes higher than they never did before and killed it. Before I close this up, I would like to end my segment with talking about a few field trips our school has been going on. One of our departments, Educators Rising, a group for students who want to become future leaders and educators, went up to St. Cloud University to learn the craft of teachers and educating, which they will be shaping our future, hopefully. These field trips have been very public and influential to our school, not only to take the time for them to study themselves, but also to do what they love and have fun. Thank you so much for listening to me, and I will see you all after the break.
Thank you. Gavin, will you please share your report?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Gavin Shabika, and I'm honored to represent Maple Grove Senior High School tonight. First, let's start with sports. Our boys basketball team took down the Apple Valley Eagles this afternoon in the state quarterfinals, and will be playing in the semis against Creighton-Durham Hall. I hope to see you all there, and I hear an upset coming. Hopefully. I'm not going to, All right, our girls basketball finished as state runner-ups this past Saturday, capping off the best season in school history. And then that wraps up our winter sports. So now let's get into spring sports. Our track and field just wrapped up their tryouts. Our boys volleyball is currently in their first year as a full-fledged sport and is in the middle of tryouts right now. Boys lacrosse looks poised for a great season with many key returners. Girls lacrosse enters the season as the #1 ranked team and has high hopes for a state run. In addition, both our girls and boys golf are looking strong as they gear up for the warmer weather ahead. As for our clubs, our DECA club had an outstanding showing at state, with 9 of our delegates becoming state finalists. Robotics performed well at their Duluth winter competition as they made the playoffs. In addition, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the heartbreaking loss of Espoir Masite, who passed away on February 25th from cardiac arrest. Just before their competition, the robotics team lost a remarkable teammate and friend. I had the privilege of sharing a French class with Espoir, and his empty chair is a painful reminder of his absence. He was one of the most intelligent, funniest, and strongest people I've ever met during my time at Maple Grove, and he will be greatly missed. Also, in the last meeting, I acknowledged that our grading system has some problems, and I have more detail and information regarding that now. A teacher whose name I will not disclose ran statistics on learner-focused grading for 195 geometry students, and to preface, the teacher did not take into account educational theory. His findings highlight significant issues with the learner-focused grading system, particularly its disproportionate negative impact on lower-performing students, including students of color and those in SPED/EL programs. The data reveals a net decrease in overall grades, with the lowest quartile experiencing nearly 9 times the negative effects compared to higher performing students. This calls for immediate school board action to reevaluate the grading system, ensuring it meets its intended goal of equity. A potential solution is allowing a course-alike teams to assign appropriate weights to learning standards while maintaining structured grading practices. To uphold fairness and student success, the district should conduct a comprehensive analysis with a larger data set and consider adjustments that mitigate the unintended consequences of learner-focused grading. In addition, to help survey, I would suggest to survey parents to see what they think of the grading system and to get their feedback. Also, the incentivizing on taking honor or advanced courses has also been a problem. As a student who has taken 12 AP classes in my time at Maple Grove, I've experienced firsthand how minimal GPA boost of 0.33 discourages students from taking advanced courses with little reward. Students risk their GPAs and academic standing without adequate compensation for their efforts. In contrast, Wayzata and Minnetonka school districts, which significantly outperform ours in GPA, test scores, and college placements, offer a grading system that heavily weights advanced coursework. Implementing a similar structure would ensure GPAs more accurately reflect academic achievement while motivating students to challenge themselves, gain college credit, and better prepare for their futures. Thank you.
Thank you so much, student representatives. Board members, the student representatives review the board meeting packet in advance and are prepared to answer questions from board members on issues to seek student input related to agenda items for this evening's meeting. Board members, do you have any agenda items for which you'd like student input or any questions on reports? We have a lighter agenda today, so, but thank you for your reports and thank you for bringing issues and concerns forward in your reports as well. Okay, you can go ahead and be dismissed at this time. Okay, our presentation this evening is Osseo Senior High School Building a Better Future, presented by John Morstead, Executive Director of Finance and Operations. John.
Thank you, Chair Prince, Superintendent Heil, and board members. So once again, we're going to go through some of the items that are on the consent agenda today. There are a number of bid awards that we've asked the board to approve, but in following with the traditions we've done with some of the past awards, we're going to highlight our major projects. So today's major project is Osseo Senior High. So we're going to kind of walk you through what the planned renovations and additions of that building are. A quick overhead view to kind of show you, we're putting one addition on this building, which is the black section to the lower left, and also you'll see a larger parking lot and loading dock to the south side of the building, and then doing some work up in the main entry area from the exterior perspective, and then obviously a whole bunch inside. So just to give you a view, in a lot of the pictures you're going to see existing off to the right, and then kind of what we're going to be doing off to the left. So the areas that you're seeing here are all areas that we're touching, from the media center, main office, student services. We're making a secure vestibule that this building doesn't currently have. We're going to modify that front entry to pick that up, so it's more similar to our other schools across the system. Make some changes in the media center, all of our health suite area. We're making and adding a school store to this building is one of the many things, along with a whole bunch of other stuff, and I'll kind of get to it as we go here. Here's an interior view of the media center. So again, off to the right, you see what it looks like today versus what it will look like. And this project starts right away this summer and will carry through the summer of 2026. And will finish in time for school starting the fall of 26. So I'll look at the exterior of the media center. All the media centers in general, as you've seen, have kind of a living room feel area to them, and then an educational portion. So they kind of go together to allow better flexibility for students to have more choice in those areas. Another view of the main entry corridor and media center, and what that will look and feel like. I know the logo, the big logo on the floor here changes from what was there. It doesn't, we're not actually changing it. They just didn't color it for the picture. An interior view as you get a little bit farther into the media center. I'm sorry for those of you that love the pink carpet. It is going away. We can save you a swatch if you really want it. But we're just modernizing some things, making it a little bit more fun, a little more comfortable, and again, that flexibility and multiple use for students. A glance at what the school store will look like. So this is going to give an opportunity to business programs to be able to run and manage the school store, provide sales opportunities for different merchandise in there for the students and staff and any parents and community members that want to come in. Main floor plan for health sciences is getting a renovation. So their current labs are getting updated. And then we'll go through on here too, but both athletic and phy ed locker rooms are also getting full renovations. So you saw here, sorry, an existing look on the right of what it is, and versus a little bit look from the changes for the nursing lab. Oops. The cafeteria of this building is undersized. So one of the problems we've run into is how do we correct that? So one of the things we're doing is actually taking out today's weight room, and we're opening that up to the cafeteria and then being able to expand the cafeteria into that space. So there's bifold doors that will open and glass so you can see in between the areas, but it'll actually also create a little bit of a quieter area. The cafeteria is pretty loud and because it's a very large and tall space today. So it's going to provide a few more options and choices for students. And here's another kind of look from that area you kind of see off to the far end in glass. I think I got one more view. So some modernization to that cafeteria just to bring it up to today's code and make it feel a little bit better. And here's what that extra room, the interior view of that other room looks like. You can see off to the right that it was the wrestling room. Have heard some concerns that, wait a minute, you're moving wrestling must be smaller. Where it's going, it's actually not. We're actually expanding the size of the wrestling room. Today's wrestling room is long and skinny, and there's a stairway and kind of ramp off to one end, so it's unusable space for the wrestlers. The new space is actually about a little over 100 square feet larger than this entire space that sits where it sits today, but the new space is 100% usable. So they'll actually gain a little over 500 square feet of space to be able to use for the wrestling program. And that's actually going where the old automotive area is today as we build a new one on. Down the main athletic locker room hallway, some changes. So just in the hallway, we're just going to kind of brighten things up, add a little bit more athletic, some aesthetics just to make things look a little bit more bright, a little bit fun. Changes to the locker rooms to make them fit with the other locker room programmings that we've already done at Park Center and are working on at Maple Grove right now. A view down the East Gym, again, some updates to just make things feel a little bit more modern. Here's that wrestling, or the current auto shop area is going to turn into wrestling and fitness. We can kind of give you a little bit look where it matches what that feels like. You don't really see the wrestling room, it's the tall window off to the back, kind of underneath or above the guy with the orange shirt. That's where the wrestling is. It actually connects into the fitness room though. So you can move between those two spaces where we've never had that ability before. Now you're starting to move into the art area. One of the things that this building has had that we are changing is it has a huge locker commons in the middle of the, right off the cafeteria. That locker commons is coming out. We're actually replacing that with the forum room. Will move to that area as we're shifting around programs within the building. You may ask, why are we taking all these lockers out? Traditionally, students just don't use them anymore like they did when, say, I might have gone to school and everybody had a locker. We typically see less than 20% locker use in buildings. So we're going to take out that space and give it back to the students to use in a different way. A big component of these improvements is focused on career and technical education. So you're going to see the improvements to those strands that are going into Maple Grove and how we're incorporating all of those. Again, a lot of flex space, a lot of lab spaces, places where students can choose different ways to learn. Everybody learns a little bit differently, so how do we better provide a physical area for that for students? And then this is that exterior addition to the auto shop. This will start immediately and will be one of the last things done. It'll take a little while for us to build that on and up. That's the presentation, so we'd ask as we get to consent agenda that the school board approve the bids as recommended by the district, and I'd be happy to take any questions if you have them.
Great, thank you. Board members, are there any questions or comments?
It looks good.
Yeah, thank you. It's always nice to visualize what's coming and be updated on the progress. Thank you.
Yep, more to come, and of course, we saved the best for last, which is under budget, currently under budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
Okay, the next agenda item is audience opportunity to address the school board. I'll review a few guidelines for those who will speak to the board. And please refer, there is a full set of information on the board table over there, if you didn't see it. As a board, we welcome all voices and strive for public engagement and transparency in our board work. Audience opportunity to address the board is one of many avenues to achieve this. To ensure all voices are heard, welcomed, and respected in the boardroom, we ask that audience members withhold applause and verbal response to all speakers. In the rare instance of a disruptive audience member, we will pause and ask that the individual remove themselves from the boardroom. Speakers will be called to the podium in this order: student, parent, staff, community members, and others. Please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Comments should be directed to the entire board, not to any individual board member. If you have a handout for the board, please place it on the information table or hand it to the board secretary, Sherry. The board secretary will provide copies to board members. The board and audience will listen and not respond back at this time. If you would like someone to follow up with you on your questions and/or comments, please let the board secretary know. Personnel concerns should be directed to the individuals in the following order: building principal, executive director for human resources, assistant superintendent, superintendent, and finally in writing to the school board. The complete guidelines for public participation are provided on the meeting materials table and on the school board section of the district website. When I call your name, please come to the microphone and state your name and topic and whether or not you are a district resident. We do have a number of speakers tonight, so it will take a little bit of time, but we don't limit the time for this opportunity for the public to address the board. So we'll start with Dr. Marguerite Ortman.
Well, good evening. My name is Dr. Marguerite Ortman, and I'm the proud parent of Gabe, Violet, and Finnegan Ortman. Gabe is a 3rd grade student, and Violet is a 2nd grade student at Oakview Elementary in Osseo. I'm here tonight as I recently learned that their elementary school counselor was being reduced to a .6 position for the first time in decades, and there will no longer be a full-time counselor at their school. I also unfortunately learned that their school social workers was also being reduced as well, and that more school counselors and social workers were being cut across the district. Through conversations with their principal, Ryan Gibbs, and the Osseo Director of Student Support, Sunny, I was surprised to learn that our district were reducing mental health support, while other large districts, such as St. Paul, Anoka Hennepin, and Minneapolis school districts, are not cutting support staff. In fact, the Minneapolis School District and Wayzata School District will each be adding 4 full-time elementary school counselors next year. My understanding is this reduction is due to the fact that many school counselors are largely funded by compensatory money. The district funds a minimum of 0.4 or 2 days a week for counselors in every elementary building, with some larger buildings receiving more. These positions are essential for the mental health and well-being of our students. Elementary counselors and social workers teach social skills, emotion regulation, problem solving, and many other skills that help students be successful in life. If the district truly prioritizes mental health, it should be funding these positions at 1.0 in all the elementary buildings so that compensatory money is not needed in order to maintain these positions from year to year, as we're losing amazing staff to districts that support mental health. Osseo has a strong school counseling program and hosts 14 recognized American School Counseling Association program schools, which is half of the ranked schools in the state of Minnesota. This prestigious recognition is only given to about 1% of schools nationally, just 1,300 as of January 2025. Elementary counseling provides direct counseling services to students in classrooms, groups, and individually. I'm frustrated that we will not be providing these preventative services to my students full-time now. Even more frustrated due to the redistricting changes, I will not be able to move them to an elementary school where there is a full-time school counselor, even though clearly these services are now not the same between schools. In addition, I'm struggling to understand how the referendum that was just passed is not supporting mental health as promised. with a $223 million referendum, is not evident that any of the money is actually going to provide mental health services to students. From exploring the budget, it appears that it's going to physical building updates and technology updates only.
30 seconds remaining.
Yes. Even on the website, it's boasting that the funds will be going towards mental health, stating along with classroom teachers who directly teach emotional social curriculum, other district staff members will help achieve these work, our school counselors, school psychologists, social workers. Lastly, with a district holdback of $40–50 million, why are we making reductions in mental health? With a strong history of supporting student supports, nationally recognized counseling programs, and a growing population, why are you not following through with what was promised to voters and not moving forward to provide the best support for
Time.
Osseo students? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Natalie Sonic.
Good evening. My name is Natalie Sonic, and I have a child attending the school within our district. As a parent, I care deeply about the well-being and fair treatment of all children, including those who are part of the LGBTQIA community. However, I believe when it comes to teaching fairness and respect, we do not need to make an LGBTQIA specific lesson that is a required part of the curriculum. And let me explain why. First and foremost, treating every student with kindness and empathy and respect should be a core value embedded in every aspect of education. These values do not need to be taught through specific LGBTQIA lessons. Our schools should model how to treat others with dignity regardless of their background, identity, or beliefs. It's part of creating a safe, supportive environment where every child can thrive, not because of special lessons on one group, but because of a culture of respect for all people. Secondly, many families hold core beliefs that are deeply rooted in religious and cultural values, where the understanding of sexuality may differ significantly from what is being taught in the classroom. When lessons on gender identity and sexual orientation are framed in ways that implies that one student must accept or affirm every individual's self-identified label, it puts students in a difficult position. For some, it may conflict with what they've been taught at home or in their faith communities. This can lead to confusion, feelings of guilt, or even isolation as they struggle to reconcile their personal beliefs with what they are being told is correct or acceptable. During last year's LGBTQIA lesson, the following statements were spoken to students by teachers leading the lesson. Quote, students will gain an understanding of the importance of using correct pronouns and respecting diverse identities. Quote, it's important to understand that gender roles aren't permanent. Quote, let's also remember the importance of being an upstander. This means accepting, standing with, and supporting the LGBTQIA community. This lesson is teaching our students that to truly accept someone, we must affirm their chosen sexual or gender identity. This is a concept that does not resonate with all families or individuals. For many, accepting someone does not mean affirming every part of their identity or agreeing with every decision they make. True acceptance for many simply means treating others with kindness and respect, regardless of their personal differences. When the schools tell children that acceptance can only be achieved by agreeing with every aspect of someone's identity,
30
it sets the
seconds
stage
remaining.
for division among students. And peers may view each other not as their shared experiences such as personalities or kindness, but solely through the lens of gender sexual identity. I believe there's a way to respect both individual identities and the right for students to hold diverse beliefs without having the LGBTQIA lesson, and therefore I'm asking that it be removed from their curriculum. It's critical that we work together to find balance where schools can
Time.
foster unity, mutual respect, understanding, without creating unnecessary strife, division, or confusion among our children. Thank you.
Muno Muhammad.
Hello everyone. I am a parent and resident in Osseo district. Some of my children attend Osseo Elementary School. We send our children to school and educate them so that they can benefit themselves and us in the future. Education is essential part of a child's essential part of a child's intellectual development. If they receive a good education and have great teachers, their future will be very bright. After 2020, following COVID, there was a decline in basic education, including math and similar subjects. Therefore, the focus should first be on rebuilding education that nurtures children's mind and finding way to improve it. Enhancing education will ways to improve their enhancing education greatly benefits children and will teach every child to think about the future development of their country. This district is a home to people with diverse culture, religion, and perspectives. Therefore, we teach our children to respect every person they meet. We will also teach them, our children, their teachers is a second, my culture is a second parents. Our religion instructed us to respect everyone, regardless of their beliefs. We send our children to school to develop their minds, not to have their minds played with or confused. If a young child who is still grasping basic education is suddenly taught something contradictory, they will experience confusion, which could harm their future. A well-educated child is one whose mind has been nurtured properly. No one should be forced to accept another person's beliefs. I do not impose my belief on you. So I expect the same in return, and I respect each other. That's why children's minds should be nurtured through fundamental education. Speaking on behalf of our children and their future, we do not approve of teaching them anything beyond basic education, nor do we agree with them sharing restrooms with individuals of different genders. This could lead to confusion and distress. I hope the board would consider our request. Thank you so much.
Ty Sullivan.
Hi, my name is Tyla Sullivan, and I'm a parent within the Osseo School District. I'd like to discuss the flags in elementary schools. Specifically, there's one there, so that you know what I'm referring to and my concern with them. I'm a mother of 3 young girls. My eldest daughter started kindergarten in the fall of 2024 at the district that we're assigned to. And while I'd been eager and excited for her to start at the public schools in the district and had recently bought a new house specifically with our assigned schools in mind, we ended up pulling our daughter out of the school after getting a spot from a waiting list of a local charter school. The decision was extremely sad, but our fear of our biracial daughter being fed information, especially information that would imply that her black mother is inferior to her white father, was too much to bear. And so we decided to give the charter school a try since we couldn't afford private school. I love talking to my daughter about how people come in different colors, shapes, sizes in a way that's neutral, organic, and normal. Racial issues are complex and sensitive. To have a flag with ambiguous meanings or ethnic issues embedded throughout courses has potential for harm and risk for further misunderstandings. We can't oversimplify ethnic issues and racial issues. They should be left up to parents to tailor them in a way that makes sense. Many of my neighbors have opted to take their kids out of local Osseo school districts by moving to a more welcoming district that doesn't impose on them their own beliefs. When I looked into other private schools or other options, we simply couldn't afford private school for 3 kids. Ultimately, my point is that we need to get back to Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream that, and his point in mind of focusing on the content of character of each individual, not the color of their skin. Thank you.
Abdirahman Ibrahim.
Board members, thank you all. I am speaking about the, with Ms. Muno spoke about before, so the same topic, the LGBTQ+. Dear board members, thank you all. I believe we all have an obligation towards our community in a commitment towards upholding our values taught to us by our parents, teachers, and our religious leaders. I believe children's education should be based on science. Education should be educating, not indoctrinating. It should be respectful of students' and parents' belief. Lately, we've seen a deliberate and precise attempt to bypass all of that. This is not an acceptable way to handle the education of our future generation. Subjects such as math, reading should be front and center. Attention to test scores and students' performance should be priority. Respect is a key component in every human interaction. Respect to everyone's culture and religion. This is a divisive issue, and our energy could be better utilized in spending time in education our children. Again, thank you all.
Tracy Dorn.
Hi, my name is Tracy Dorn. I'm a parent in the district, and I am in my 11th year as an ESP at Oakview. I work an 8-hour day consisting of 4 different job descriptions. I work Kids Step in the morning, I work a half hour each day in the ML department, and 4.5 hours as an instructional ESP doing math and reading interventions. And I spend an hour each day as a clerical ESP. During my hour as a clerical ESP, I am actually helping our second graders in the lunchroom and out on the playground. There is nothing clerical about my duties in that hour. But because it is labeled as clerical, I am paid $2.50 less an hour than I am the rest of my day. $2.50 less for the hardest hour of my day. So I took a look at some job descriptions. When I looked up clerical ESP, it lists one of the job duties as, quote, supervise students over lunch and recess. And that's it. It says nothing else pertaining to anything I do during that hour of my day. And let me tell you, I do much more in that hour than just supervise those 87 second graders. What I actually do much more closely matches the duties listed for an instructional ESP, which is listed under Class 2 of our pay scale. The current job description for an instructional ESP includes things like assist students and teachers in large group activities or projects such as art, physical education, and dramatics. It also lists working directly with students individually or in small groups on academic and motor or social skills. Example, math, science, English, color recognition, decision-making, and self-esteem building. Our district puts an emphasis on social-emotional learning, so much so that 3 times a year, our elementary students are screened to see how much they know. They get on their school-issued devices and take 3 tests, a reading, a math, and SABRES, which measures their social-emotional learning. Let me be clear that the lunchroom and the playground is where a huge portion of that social-emotional learning
30
is taking
seconds
place.
remaining.
And my fellow clerical ESPs are the ones in those spaces teaching those lessons. We are asking you to respect our work and honor our dedication. $25 an hour is not too much to ask because we are worth it.
Sonma Greenfield. I apologize if I got that wrong.
Good evening. My name is Soma Greenfield, and I work as an ESP. But this evening, I'm going to be reading a story by my fellow ESP, Jesse Daniels. Hi, my name is Jessie Daniels, and I am an ESP for Kids Stop, and as well as center-based/skills room at Rice Lake Elementary. I've been in the district since December 2023. In April 2024, I became an ESP during the school year, during lunch and recess and one-on-one interventions. When I started that position, it was a little challenging, being that the only thing I got trained on was to get into the bridges for interventions. And not trained on how to actually use it. I had to self-teach myself and basically do that. I knew, and basically do what I knew. So during the summer, I was asked by the principal if I would be interested in the skills room working with special needs, because I told her that I was uncomfortable doing the interventions because I was not trained properly. She mentioned that there will be a little bit of a boost in pay since it was a center-based position. Fast forward to this school year. I started the new position for center-based, and it was a bit of a challenge. Didn't get the proper training for the position. I've been kicked, slapped, bitten, glasses broken since I've been in the position. There was a teacher who started in the district, but then left after Christmas break. So it was just me in the classroom, teaching the class by myself, with little to no supervision to help accept another ESP. There were some days where a sub would come in, but it would only be half days. I love my job and I love what I do. But the pay and the benefits that ESPs have, and we do basically what teachers do, if not more. And not only do we do for our students, we also do for the teachers we work with. Thank you.
Michelle Denard.
Good evening, school board members, Dr. Howell, our superintendent, and the community. My name is Michelle Denard, and I have had the honor of serving as an Osseo education support professional for 21 and a half years. In that time, I have witnessed firsthand the dedication, resilience, and unwavering commitment of my fellow ESPs. We show up every day, not just because it's a job, but because we believe in this district. We believe in our students, and we believe in the work we do. Osseo Area Schools prides itself on its core values, values that are meant to guide how we educate, support, and uplift those within our community. Integrity, fairness, respect, and a commitment to achieving high standards. These are not just words, they are promises. But I ask you, are these values reflected in how ESPs are treated? We are the first faces students see when they arrive at school, and often the last ones they see before they go home. We support their learning, ensure their safety, and provide the critical service that make our schools function every day. We embody these core values in our work, but our wages and working conditions do not reflect the same commitment in return. Where is the fairness when we are paid wages that force many of us to work multiple jobs just to survive? Where is the respect when we continue to show up with dedication, yet are not prioritized in contract negotiations? I don't want to work anywhere else. I plan to retire from Osseo because I believe in this district. I carry the title of ESP with pride, and I speak highly of the work we do here. But belief
30
and
seconds
dedication alone cannot pay the bills. If we truly uphold our district core values, then our ESP must be valued, not just in words, but in action. Make it make sense. Make it right. We are not asking for luxury. We are asking for dignity. We are asking for you to recognize in action and in wages what we already know to be true. ESPs are the foundation of this district. Without us, the day does not begin or the day does not end. We deserve to be a priority. So help us understand, why are we not treated as one? We know Osceo's School District 279 stands for something. Now, stand for us. Thank you.
Gail Huggins.
Dr. Heil and school board members, thank you so much for all of your support that you give to us as ESPs. My name is Gail Huggins, and I am a special education ESP at Woodland Elementary. But tonight, I'm not going to tell my story. I'm going to tell the story of Stephanie Schmidt, who is an ESP at Maple Grove Middle School. She says that she has worked in Osseo School District for 16 years. I have held several positions, but the position that I have held the longest is ESP for English learners. My main responsibility is to support students in classroom with many different English learners and at very many different English proficiency in their core classes. These classes would be near impossible for them to navigate without someone there to interpret and explain subjects. My job requires me to be a professional and academically knowledgeable in all of the core subjects that I support. I also know that you are aware that behaviors have become harder to manage and classroom sizes have grown. So our support is essential. My days are very busy, and sometimes I feel like I'm running a marathon. However, I get great satisfaction knowing that I am helping children, and I know that I make a difference in many of the lives of students. As you know, educational support staff have many responsibilities and are essential to the success of all students. Unfortunately, the pay raises that I have received have not increased my take-home pay at all. With the increases in health insurance premiums, I am now taking home almost the exact amount that I did 6 years ago. If I didn't have a two-person household income, I don't know if I could have supported myself. And this is
30
after
seconds
16
remaining.
years of working in the district. It is my opinion that if the school district wants to retain professional, knowledgeable, and hardworking educators, they need to pay at least a livable wage that will keep up with the cost of living. Thank you again. This is by Stephanie Schmidt, an ESP at Maple Grove Middle School.
Penny Novotny.
My name is Penny Novotny, and I had 4 kids. One almost went halfway through, and the other 3 went through just this district. Talking about a prayer for the school board decisions. My prayer today is that we would all open our hearts and listen to our conscience. Let us first remember school is for reading, writing, and mathematics, and to prepare our youth for their future careers, and not so much focusing our youth making their worth just on their sexuality. Also, our children belong to their parents, not to the school they attend.
helping our kids to lie or cheat on their parents or murder their body parts or to steal them from their parents, that's pride in yourself, and that you should know better. We should not have our children bow down to you or having your own agenda or desires imprinted on them. It's wrong. And I know everybody knows this, for it is written on your God-given conscience. Let's remember our own indoctrination. It's not the school's job. That's reading, writing, and math. The only things that we need to teach our kids are those things at school. Everything else is written on your God-given conscience. It's up to you to listen to it. But up to the parents to raise their own kids their way. Just remember, there's an absolute truths. We all know it. It is written. God gave it to everybody on their conscience and on their heart to guide us. Otherwise, we follow our own reality of the world and our own beliefs, and that's not fair to anyone. Thank you to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. That's it.
LaDawn Severin.
Good evening, LaDawn Severin, district resident and concerned parent. Tonight, I would like to strongly urge that District 279's LGBTQIA+ advisory lesson not be utilized this year for the following reasons, and I'll just share 5. Number 1, as we've shared many times over the last 2 years, it is not the school's responsibility to present a handcrafted LGBTQIA+ lesson created by an unknown committee of people with one perspective on a very controversial issue. Number 2, the lesson caused division and harm last year, as many hundreds of students opted out. Number 3, despite certain laws and policies being cited as the compelling force for creating and delivering last year's lesson, there are literally no laws that require our district to have this advisory lesson. And number 4, speaking of laws, with the new federal executive orders, especially number 14190, there are now laws that jeopardize our federal funding if we do forge ahead with this advisory lesson. I know according to the work session last Tuesday, we do have enough money in our reserve funds to keep running as is for 3 years, even without our federal funding. But think of what an impact these funds could make in the classroom instead, by maybe hiring a few more teachers in our most populated schools, or maybe even giving a raise to ESPs that reach certain milestones of service in the district. It would be a shame to risk losing those millions of dollars over an ideological battle that our neutral schools don't need to get embroiled in. And number 5, our anti-bullying policies, especially policy 102, 506, and 514, which have already been in place for years in our district, are robust enough, if diligently followed and implemented by principals and teachers, to create a zero-tolerance environment for bullying of any type. Thank you.
That concludes the audience opportunity to address the school board. Thanks everybody for your participation. Our next agenda item is the superintendent's report. Dr. Howell.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Prince, Vice Chair Brooks, and school board members, and our audience that is here this evening. This evening, as we opened up space for dialogue during our audience opportunity to talk, we actually witnessed something quite powerful. I'd like to acknowledge that we have, in the spirit of holding space, allowed all voices to be heard, and that in itself is an act of respect. Heather Platt beautifully describes the concept of holding space as stating that when we do so, we allow others to share their truth without judgment. We create an environment where people can be seen, heard, and valued for their perspectives they bring. In this district, we are committed to this practice, not only to listen, but also to ensure that in doing so, we do not deny anyone their opportunity to express their viewpoint respectively. It's important that we honor each person's contribution, without undermining their individuality or their right to be heard. This is the very core of the environment we strive to create in Osseo area schools. As we move forward, let us continue to honor and respect those that step into our district, whether they are students, staff, or members of our community. Let us uphold the rights of all, ensuring that we have a space where every voice can contribute and every viewpoint can be shared with dignity and respect. So thank you for your ongoing support and commitment to fostering an inclusive, respectful environment in our district. Let's continue to honor each other and important work that we do together, where we will reach our goal of Osseo area schools becoming one community for all. Thank you. A regular part of our superintendent's report is to share points of pride. By sharing our points of pride, we're taking time to recognize and celebrate our scholars, our staff, and our community members who are contributing to the accomplishment of our mission. So this evening, we will have our district cabinet here to assist in sharing some examples from this month.
In the area of achieving dreams, 4-star Express students from Osseo Area Schools Community Education Program recently had the opportunity to enjoy a fun-filled field trip to the Minnesota Children's Theater Company to see the production of Leonardo, a wonderful show about a terrible monster. This enriching experience reflects community education's dedication to creating innovative and responsive programs that support lifelong learning and positively impact students, staff, and the community. Students from Rice Lake Elementary School took to the stage and transformed the Maple Grove Middle School auditorium into an underwater world on March 7th and 8th in front of an audience of their families, friends, and community members. Students from 5 elementary schools in the district will perform Disney's Finding Nemo Kids on stage from February to May through the school district's Community Education Youth Enrichment Program in partnership with Stages Theater Company and Bunch Backyard Productions, also known as The Beat. This after-school enrichment experience provides meaningful opportunities for students to develop their performance skills, gain self-confidence, and make new friends. In the area of contributing to community, students in Jennifer Phillips' first grade class at Fernbrook Elementary School recently participated in a classroom service project. Students donated gently used books and made fleece blankets for families at Mary's Place, a homeless and transitional housing center.
On February 28th, a group of families and staff from Osseo Area Schools Community Education's Early Childhood Family Education, or ECFE, program traveled to Minnesota State Capitol Rotunda for the ECFE Day at the Capitol. Joined by other families and early childhood educators, they took part in the statewide effort to advocate for early learning programs. In the area of lifelong learning, on the last day of February, students in all grades at Basswood Elementary School gathered to celebrate Black History Month. The celebration, the first time that Basswood has hosted this type of event, was a huge hit among students and staff. Leading up to the event, students have been learning about race, culture, and identity on Basswood TV. 6th grade English students from Osseo Middle School presented a Greek mythology statue museum in their media center. Students spent a week researching a character from Greek mythology, including Athena, Artemis, Aphrodite, Medusa, Hydra, and Zeus. The students created a script and costume to tell about their character as spectators moved around the library, meeting the different Greek figures. Cheers and smiles filled the hallways of Crestview Elementary School as the school hosted its annual vocabulary parade. Every student selected a word, studied its meaning, then decorated a poster, vest, or hat with information about their vocabulary word for the parade.
Nothing sparks the magic of reading quite like an author stepping into an elementary school, turning the library or gymnasium into a portal of imagination and storytelling for students. Scientist, engineer, and Minnesota children's book author Sedina Grace, visited Edenbrook Elementary School February 26 to share her book with students called Adventures with Sedina, ABCs in Space. After Grace read her book to students, they had the chance to ask Grace questions, and she took the time to encourage them to dream big and follow their passions in life. On February 24th, local author, educator, and Osseo Senior High School alumni Keenan Jones visited students 2nd grade through 5th grade at Elm Creek Elementary School to read his book Saturday Morning at the Shop, a picture book about a young boy and his morning in the barbershop. Jones was recently featured on CBS Morning News talking about his book. Advancement via Individual Determination, or AVID, students at Osseo Middle School attended Base Camp on February 20th. Base Camp is operated by the Northern Star Scouting Organization and provides a structured and adventurous environment where teams can strengthen their bonds through shared challenges and success. Scholars took part in rock climbing, archery, and leadership challenges, all designed to encourage communication and trust. February was I Love to Read Month, and at Palmer Lake Elementary School, students enjoyed many fun activities throughout the month, with a Catch the Reading Wave, Aloha, the New Adventure theme. The celebration included a Hawaiian and favorite book character dress-up days, time for older students to read to the school's younger learners, opportunities for students to read while relaxing on beach towels, and an Aloha bingo board that encouraged students to make a bingo by reading in various locations and trying different types of reading. Students received a scratch-off Hawaii bookmark and a lay during the month-long celebration of reading. In the area of mission-driven employees, the dedicated library media specialist team on the Fernbrook Elementary School kept students on track during the end of I Love to Read Month, when they transformed the space into a train station full of locomotives, train tracks, and puffs of steam. Students read the book All Aboard, The Alaska Train by Brooke Hartman, and then had their chance to pick out train and adventure-themed books and read on the train tracks. Students also participated in other activities, such as completing a classroom book bingo.
We have a few final notes and reminders for tonight. Kindergarten orientation events will continue to take place during the rest of March and throughout April and May at all district elementary school sites for students beginning school in the fall of 2025. To learn more and view all orientation dates, please visit our website at district279.org/kindergarten-orientation. Community feedback from January and early February helped to narrow and refine proposed attendance boundary scenarios. Specifically, scenarios 1 and 2 moved forward with some adjustments based on comments that were received. Community members are once again encouraged to share their thoughts on the updated scenarios feedback form or at our community informational meeting on March 19th, tomorrow at 5:45 p.m. at Osseo Middle School. Learn more and provide your feedback by visiting district279.org/boundaries. March will wrap up district feedback opportunities. The school board is expected to approve final attendance boundary changes in May, and the new attendance boundaries will then go into effect for fall of 2026. There will be no school for students. There will be no students for school March 24th to the 28th. I hope that you enjoy your spring break, as well as to our staff, and thank you for your continued support. That concludes tonight's superintendent report.
Thank you. Our next agenda item is the school board member reports. Director Dawson, do you have a report or update?
I just quickly went to the Association of Metropolitan School District meeting a couple weeks ago, where the House and Senate Ed Policy chairs came to talk about just kind of some of the priorities around MCA testing, different chronic absenteeism and other issues, while, also we know that we're in a challenging fiscal environment, so as they try to kind of work toward a biennial budget. So just a lot of conversation. I know a lot of the school superintendents and whatnot are trying to ensure we don't have any more unfunded mandates and just kind of not have so much of a burden on our schools. And so I know that there's a lot of focus on that as well. I met with our American Indian Parent Advisory lead, just to kind of talk about the year. And I think that's it.
Thank you. Director Foster, do you have a report or update?
Yeah, I was able to attend the DPAC committee meeting, and that was actually last week, I believe. And they're finalizing some of their recommendations for the board, and it'll be exciting to hear what they present in May.
Director Brooks, do you have a report?
Yes, so the RISE committee actually just met today prior to this meeting, and spent some time exploring topics of interest and potential opportunities going forward with some of the priorities we have coming up, and then also spent some time reviewing past accomplishments. The LGBTQ advisory committee also met today as well separately, and that committee is primarily a staff and student run committee, many of which volunteer their time outside of the classroom and outside of the school day to talk about supporting LGBTQ students and staff, as well as the upcoming lesson. So those are my two updates.
Thank you. Director Tate, do you have a report or update?
Yeah, just real. So 287's launching a new brand, out with the old tennis shoes, I guess. I like the, but the new brand is really kind of encompassing of the new vision, right? So it's kind of, expressing the diversity of the district and kind of the collaboration, everything like that. So it was cool though, because they did the stakeholder feedback, and the parents and caregivers were tied as far as the difference between the two options. The teachers and staff were tied, and then the students were 2/3 kind of swung one way, and that's the one that they're going with. So that was pretty cool for the students to get the the tiebreaker in that. So
Thank you. Director Mitchell, do you have a report?
Yes, we had our CPAC Community Education Committee meeting that was last Thursday right in here. And just like from our work session last week, that's one of the committees that is required by districts to have. So it was, the majority of the time we went over the mid-year budget update, which is also necessary. And it's a self-funded department, and thankfully the report, we are very strong and healthy fiscally. It was fun to see some new faces, and it's a well-balanced committee. It's fun to see the community engagement and some of the, there's one woman, I think she's been on the committee for 20 years, but we also have parents that have really young, like preschool age kids. And I love that the woman that's been on it for so long, she said, I still learn something new every time I come. So I thought that was fun to hear, so.
Thank you. And the only report I have is related to policy committee. We met last week, and really we just spent time looking at what's coming next for the rest of this year, and then what we'll be picking up at the start of next year. The policy committee meetings are open to the public, and those agendas are posted along with the school board agendas. So anybody is welcome to attend. So that concludes the school board reports. The next agenda item is the consent agenda. Board members, our consent agenda items this evening include meeting minutes and financial reports for February 2025, extended educational trips, personnel grants, many construction bid approvals, as was mentioned, a 10-year transportation contract, and several other organizational business items. Are there any items that you would like to remove for separate consideration? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as printed?
So moved.
Motion by Director Brooks, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Foster. Is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The motion passes 6-0. The next action item is gifts to the district. This month, we have a total amount of $27,383.88. Is there a motion to approve gifts to the district totaling $27,383.88?
So moved.
Motion by Director Tate, seconded by Director Brooks. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, nay? Motion passes 6-0. So thank you to everybody who contributes every single month. It's really exciting to see the list of donors and the dollars that are provided. So thank you. Our final item is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:09 p.m.?
So moved.
So moved by Director Brooks. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Director Mitchell. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed nay. The motion passes 6-0, and the meeting is adjourned at 7:10 PM.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.